You're listening to the Mystic Menagerie Podcast, your regular descent into the world of alternative entertainment, art, and culture. Bolt the door, light the fire, and pour yourself a glass of Virgin Rouge, and let your hosts, Dan Baines and Lord Freddie Valentine, guide you through the Stygian depths of your darkest delights. Warning, listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Mystic Menagerie Covid-19 special. I'm your host Dan Baines and I'm joined by my co-host
Freddie Valentine. Hello, welcome everybody, and yes, we are back.
We've got the band back together.
Definitely reformed for our last reunion tour, doing all our old hits. You know, we've got a new album out, and is it as good as the old ones? Who knows? We're not the Rolling Stones, and we're better than the Rolling Stones, aren't we, Dan?
Oh, definitely better than Rolling Stones. Slightly younger.
Slightly younger, yeah, more athletic, you know.
But we thought, as the end of the world is nigh, it only seems fitting for us to put out another show talking about COVID-19 or coronavirus, however you want to talk about it.
Definitely, and this could be the last transmission. And if humans wiped out, it could be like Planet of the Apes, where rather, you know, they found that recording of humans saying about how they got wiped out. Our podcast could be the thing that the human finds. This is what happened to them. Do you know what I mean? Then we tell them what happened. Could be that
they could dig back through our catalogue on iTunes, and that's how they saw the world. You know, throughout
human the Earth's culture. Yeah. It's all in those episodes. Yeah.
Well, for anyone who has never listened to the Mystic Menagerie podcast before, we do have an additional 20 episodes on iTunes, and we actually stopped recording in May 2016 for a whole catalogue of reasons, mainly due to other commitments. It just became too big. Each show was 3.5 hours long, so there's over 50 hours of Mystic Menagerie still on iTunes for you to delve back into and have a listen to. But these shows are going to be bite-sized shows, aren't they, Freddie?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a lot of work before. I mean, there were 4-hour marathons for us to record and for people to listen to as well. Do you know what I mean? It's quite a lot, and we did cover a lot of ground. We did a lot in a short space of time. You know, I suppose you get these artists to do that. They paint a lot of painting in a short space of time and then disappear into the wilderness. And we kind of did that, really. But these ones are going to be, get you back into it. Little bite-sized, hour-long shows. Not too much of your time, but we'll pack them with the usual fun and frolics and mystery and strange things that we had in the show before. So, yeah. We
have been talking about it for quite a while, and this just seemed the perfect time. Both of us are now sort of hunkered down in our homes. I've got the children at home now, so I'm basically not going out anywhere, and you're one of the high risk people, aren't you, Freddie?
One of the vulnerables. I've not been well. I had a touch of the old cancer, but it doesn't get me down. You know what I mean? So if you're going to get a disease, you might as well get the most famous one. You know what I mean? So that's what I got. Yeah. But I'm still alive. So that's the most important thing at the moment.
You fought through the worst of it.
Definitely. I just fought through. There's no point getting down about it. I just think you've got to deal with it, isn't it, really?
It's your positivity that's got you through.
That and the budgies and listen to Chaz and Dave. That's what I believe is tonic for anybody. You know, if you're having cancer treatment, put a bit of Chaz and Dave on, hang out with budgies. Does you a world of good, I think.
Have you gone to cancer research with that possible cure, budgies and Chaz and Dave?
I did, but they weren't listening to me. You know, they thought I was a wacko. You know, so you're that nutcase with that weird podcast. You talk about, Michael Jackson's Ghost Bumming Monkeys and all that. We're not listening to you. They were like that. You know, they didn't take me seriously. Do you know what I mean? But I've got that secret there. I'm going to hold on to that and sell it to people that want the secret.
Yeah. Well, to all our old listeners, welcome back. It's great to have you listening to the Mystic Menagerie once again. As we say, the end of the world is possibly nigh, so we're going to get down to business and start talking about this coronavirus, which has basically locked down the entire planet.
It's weird, isn't it? I mean, it's like, we watched all these films for years, and we sit and watch them, you think they're a bit far-fetched. You watch this Planet of the Apes and all these zombie films, you think, that won't happen. And it is happening.
It is.
It's happening. And the news stories are the same, like when the Planet of the Apes, and this virus has wiped out mankind and all this kind of thing. And the news is not too dissimilar to something from the start of a film like that, is it really? But it's not a good film. It'd be a film you get from Asda for £5 straight to DVD. It looks good on the cover, and you get it done with someone's phone.
Poundland, they do DVDs now.
They do, Poundland collection, that sort of stuff.
But it does feel like we are living in some form of Hollywood movie at the moment. I think the media, the modern media, has been preparing us for something like this for a long time. You only have to go back and look at shows like The Walking Dead, 28 Days Later. I mean, I know they're all zombie based, but they all do start with a virus pandemic, which wipes out most of the human race and is left with people surviving and defending for themselves in a bizarre dystopian type of environment.
And definitely a lot of computer games as well are based around that. What's that, Fallout? That's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are all based around that. For years they did these things with aliens, didn't they? Like E.T. and X-Files, and preparing us for an alien invasion. I thought, they're trying to say something here. Now last year it's been zombies and plagues and viruses and stuff like that trying to get into our heads. But I reckon I could survive it. Do you reckon you could, Dan? I reckon I could survive if it was a wilderness. It's like Mad Max out there. I could get my old car going.
I've been preparing for something like this since about the age of 8 when I saw the first Mad Max movie. I think I grew up dreaming of getting a car, putting a bonnet-mounted chain gun on it, knocking the windows out, cover it in chicken wire and barbed wire, and driving around fighting over petrol, or in this case, toilet roll.
Toilet roll. Who'd have thought that'd be the currency, eh? Toilet bog roll. I mean, I remember there was a company in the 80s called Mutoid Waste Company. That's a bit of a trivia here. And they used to build Mad Max-style vehicles and drive them to festivals and stuff like that. So they were preparing, and there's a film. Remember that group, Gay Bikes on Acid?
Yes, I do.
They did a film called Jewelry on Hull, and they had the vehicles in that film. So, I'll see if they're still going. Mutoid Waste Company. I'll get a car from them, I think, if we're going to have this Mad Max utopia, because that's the people to go to, I think.
Yeah, I've already got a truck, so it would just be a case of knocking a hole in the roof and getting a large gun from somewhere. But we're well tooled up anyway. I mean, this year was my steel wedding anniversary, which is your 11th wedding anniversary. So we always go with the theme, what you're meant to get each other, like the leather or copper, and this year was steel. So my lovely wife bought me a hand-forged Viking axe with my name carved into the handle.
That's brilliant. It could have been a signed photograph of David Steele, the politician. That would have been a downer, but an axe. Bingo. You're in there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I've got the axe. The axe is going to be good for, obviously, you always have to go for a headshot and maybe taking hands off for potential looters. But she also ordered some barbecue skewers from the Ukraine. Now, I think when she saw them, she envisaged the barbecue skewers that you get from Waitrose, the little sort of 11 inches that you would put maybe 2 or 3 little pieces of chicken on. When these arrived, they came in a metre-long tube with like some Ukrainian writing on, and I took them out, and each one is like I can only describe it as a Roman sword, the short Roman short swords. So I've got 6 of those as well, and I was thinking you could wear them in a belt with the axe, and I've got a small pistol crossbow as well, so I just need a Mohican now, a motorbike, and a young naked boy to ride on the back with a dog collar on, and I've got the full Mad Max look.
It's full there. It's all ready to go, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I always think, my mind's crossed. When do I start reverting to cannibalism? Is it now, or do I have to wait a couple of months?
I don't know. I think you'd have to wait a few months for cannibalism. But mark my words, getting back to something serious, I mean, I know it seems the world has pulled together at the moment in some kind of unified, let's all stick up for each other and everyone's all, let's help each other out. All it's going to take is 2 or 3 months of people not getting any money through work, the shops becoming empty before the nasty side of humanity starts to show, and people are going to start looting, robbing, and it's going to be survival of the fittest if it gets down to that.
It will get down, yeah. I mean, I'm all right. I mean, the shops haven't run out of cigarettes yet. If they do that, then I'll be going potty, Then I'll be out, sort of, looting and stuff. But yeah, I think it didn't take much to loot the other year with them riots in London. It's only because some drug dealer got shot. And people were right, let's nick trainers, But it's weird in times of crisis what people want, isn't it? You think it would be food and medicine, but it's bog rolls and trainers and latest television as it seems to be when people loot, isn't it? They don't go for the essentials. There's always things like that.
Yeah, most of the alcohol's gone from the local shops around here as well. So I think people are just trying to drink through the whole event and maybe forget about it, come out the other side and not remember anything, just have a real stinking hangover.
And alcohol kills off viruses, doesn't it? So Oliver Reed would have been all right. He would have been fine. It would have coronavirus. His blood would have got rid of that straight away. The amount of alcohol in his system. But it's funny because like shops, you go in like Tesco's and there's nothing in there. But I go to my local Mr. Singh down the road, and he's got bog roll, he's got paracetamol, he's got soap, he's got beans, he's got a lot.
How much is he selling it for though?
Normal price. He doesn't want his reputation. Yeah, and I said to him, he goes, I'm not ripping people off. He says, and he said, come to my shop, my friend. I will always have bog roll for you. He said, but he's selling 2 packets of 4 per person. So he's not ripping them off. But some shops around here, 10 quid for a packet of bog roll.
That's bonkers.
It's insane, isn't it? And hand sanitizer for 25 quid, that kind of thing. So those shops, I think, when it's finished, people will remember that. I think I ain't going to go there again. They remember Mr. Singh down the road who kept it. He was decent, and it's on 1 packet of paracetamol per person and 2 packs of bog roll. So yeah, he's a decent guy. But a lot of people out there just loading their trolleys up. The weird thing is, I thought, is that there's enough food anyway all year round. You go shopping, you buy your shop, there's enough there. There's always bog roll, there's always beans and stuff. But it's people just buying it all up, and it's insane. The world's gone crazy with it, I think.
It has. It's definitely going to show a different side of society. Who knows what's going to happen after this? You're going to get so many people used to working from home, the children working at home. When life goes back to normal, I think that is where the culture shock is going to be. It's going to be, oh my God, I've worked from home for, if we go what the government say, 12 weeks or maybe longer, and now I've got to commute again. I've got to leave the house. Everyone's going to become agoraphobic. Everyone's going to want to stay at home.
They will. It's worse when people are off for Christmas. They find it hard going back to work then, or been for a week's holiday. I'm having sort of 12 weeks off work or whatever it is, and trying to get back into normal swing of things. People are going to find it hard. I mean, for me, it's like you've got to self-isolate. You've got to stay at home all the time, not see anybody, not go out to places. I've got to do that anyway. I've been doing that for years. So it's business as usual then.
That's what I said to my friends. I said my mum and dad have self-isolated for the last 20 years, so they're just carrying on as if it's it's completely normal.
I mean, it's great being a recluse. I mean, I like it. I pop out now and then, maybe go to zoo or concert or safari park or whatever, or go to the shops and get some cigarettes or whatever. It's great. It's fine. But I think some people couldn't handle it, because I've noticed a lot of people are wanting attention. There are people that used to be performing for the public, like either they're magicians or they're comedians or singers, and now they're not doing any gigs. They're going on Facebook Live and doing horrendously bad videos. To feed the attention. Do you know what I mean? It's driving people stir crazy a little bit. Think, I'm not getting enough attention. I'm here on my own. I need people clapping me and telling me I'm great. So on Facebook, they're singing songs and doing magic tricks or doing comedy sketches and stuff like that. It's very strange, because in the wartime, that wouldn't have happened. People would have gone around their neighbour's house and seen if they're all right. Now, with social media, we're kind of isolated anyway, a little bit, aren't we, with social media? We don't see people as much as we usually do, because we've got that to communicate with.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the kids nowadays don't go out anyway, so you're not really taking that much away from the children of today by saying you can't go out for the next 3 months, because most of them will just sit indoors playing Fortnite anyway with their friends who are around, maybe in a different country or a few miles away. It's a very strange world we live in. And I think
it is.
Regarding something like coronavirus, with an event of such magnitude, it's always going to be surrounded by strange conspiracy theories. And I think that is one of the main things we're going to cover on the show today. Now, some of them are a little bit scary, but when you think about it, there's could be quite a lot of truth in it, or if not that, a good sort of idea for a book. Definitely, yeah. I mean, the thing is, of conspiracy theories, there's always these ones that seem feasible, and there's always some absolutely insane ones that come out, But the thing is, what's happened in the last year, the way the country's been, the way the world's been, anything is possible. That's the thing I'm starting to think now. It could be possible, some of these conspiracy theories. I mean, you've heard it. Why should we start talking about that? There's some ones out there that we can either debunk them or what we think of them, where we think there's truth in them. Which one do you want to have a tackle first? Which we should look at? I think the one that's circulating quite a lot at the moment is the fact that the Russian state media has actually blamed Britain for the global coronavirus pandemic. So they're basically broadcasting to their nation that British somehow got into Wuhan, planted COVID-19. Obviously, we're going to plant it in a place where it's got a huge population, where it's going to spread really quickly. And the SARS virus also started in the same place. So we know that by planting it in that place, it's going to spread, and we can almost forecast the way it's going to go globally. And this whole thing yesterday, when Boris Johnson came up and said, hang in there, 12 weeks, give us 12 weeks, we'll have a cure for you. Now, the Russians are saying that we've already got a cure for it. And what we're doing is we're planting COVID-19, it's gone a global pandemic, and in 12 weeks' time, we're going to come up with the cure, and it's going to, because of obviously our exit from the EU, it's going to enhance our global status by being the people who developed the vaccine and distributed it around the globe. And of course of that, we're going to make a hell of a lot of money from it. So at the moment, the government are giving people who are out of work, drops in interest rates are happening. And we can afford to do that at the moment, because we know in 12 weeks' time we're going to release this vaccine that is going to cure the world. Great Britain, the UK, is going to be Billy Big Bollocks.
Yeah, that's quite feasible, you know. I mean, it does sound like a plot of a James Bond film. You can imagine Bond going out there. You've got to go to Wuhan Bond. You've got to plant this and there, and he's got his gadgets and stuff. Get out of there before they catch you. Yeah. And it's very possible. You know, it does seem like a man-made thing. I mean, I've always thought about. I read a book in the 80s which is about secret weapons and stuff like that, and it was saying that that AIDS was invented, you know, to control population and that kind of stuff. And there's all other things, this chemical warfare, that kind of thing they were talking about. So it does make you wonder. These things just pop out of nowhere. You think we've been here for like thousands of years, and they've never been there before, and suddenly the diseases come out of nowhere from bats or from bumming monkeys or whatever. You know, these things suddenly appear. I think that's feasible. I do think that's a feasible situation, because Boris seems to know something, doesn't he? He does seem to. He's not giving too much away. No,
I mean they say that the actual Covid-19 virus was accidentally created as a bioweapon in 2015 at the Pirbright Institute in Woking, and from there it was then taken over. But if you look at the way the Russians have operated in the past with the Novichok and the polonium-210, you know, with the Alexander Litvinenko case, it's so easy just to get two agents to go into a country, plant something, and then get out without anyone even noticing.
It's strange, isn't it? I think there's something in that could be a possibility. Because it does seem the sort of thing that, I mean, a lot of underhand things do go on, as we know, you know, that we don't know about. And I think with governments and the way things have been going, they stop at anything.
I mean, it goes back to the whole 9/11 thing. You know, a lot of people still do think that the American government engineered that purely as a way to get into the Middle East, sacrifice the lives of a few thousand people for the greater benefit. Now, would our government do that? I think the only way to really truly find out is to watch what happens in the next 12 weeks. If in 12 weeks' time Boris suddenly goes, right, we've got a vaccine, we've produced it. I mean, maybe the vaccine's already produced. Maybe it's sitting in all these underground bunkers that are left over from the Cold War, just waiting to be distributed, but only waiting for the right time. It's like the space race. It's like the first who gets to the moon first has control of space. You know, whoever creates the vaccine for the coronavirus has control of the world again.
It's true, they have, because everyone's worried about getting it. I mean, it's strange because some of the people that died from it, they sort of say about people that are vulnerable to old people. So younger people probably think, well, it doesn't affect me, you know. But there's a young bloke who, he's 21, he had leukemia like I've got, and he died from it. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose it is worrying. But also with the old people's grandparents and their parents as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So they'd be worried about that situation. So every nation will be worried about it. Everyone will want that vaccine just to be on the safe side, because it's got a question mark over it and it's new. No one really knows how bad it is or how it, do you know what I mean, or what it can do to people. It does seem to be a very strange situation. Also, the other thing about it is it stopped people going on about gender identity, isn't it? They don't care about that sort of stuff anymore. It's all like, we've got to survive. It's changed things quite a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, you brought this point up when we had a bit of a chat yesterday, and you said, the people who die from it are mainly male, although quite a few females have died from it, but they've never said that there's any dolphins or transvestites died from it.
No, one of these what they called binary gender and all that. Like Sam Smith, he's there's a video of him back home crying his eyes out in isolation. I thought, well, none of these, the they people have died from it. It's all him on her. So don't worry, mate. You're probably immune to it.
Yeah. Well, it's actually on the news today. It's actually in the paper today. I'm looking at it right now on my screen. There's a picture of Sam Smith holding a coffee cup with his headphones on, and it says, "Exclusive: Sam Smith fuels up on coffee as he heads outside after going through several stages of quarantine meltdown in his £12 million mansion." So, but then again, he's not male or female, so maybe he's immune to it.
That's what I'm thinking. It's only men and women that died from it, so they might be all right. Maybe I've got to identify as something else. I think maybe that's the cure. Maybe Boris will say, look, if you identify as a dolphin or chimpanzee or something like that, because no chimpanzees have got it, have they? Anyone like that, identify as one of them, you'll be all right. And that's all we've got to do. No, not going to doctors, no injections. Just I identify as this, and we're all right. That could be the cure.
Could be the easy way out of it.
It could be the cure. Because talking about chimpanzees, it's a bit of a Planet of the Apes vibe to this, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I watch a lot. I'm a big fan of chimpanzees. I love chimps. I'm into their behaviour and stuff like that. A lot of videos I've watched over the last few years is saying about them evolving. Right? They can learn how to make weapons, and they can fire guns and stuff like this if you give it to them, and they're getting cleverer. They can remember things. I did read one story where this poacher killed a chimpanzee's mother, and he followed this poacher for miles, just hidden in the trees, waited for like 4 days, and then jumped and killed him. So obviously they're getting cleverer.
Ripped his face off.
Ripped his face off. They're good at doing that. Yeah, they can. They're cute, but they can do that. But yeah, it's and I think that all these documentaries are saying if there was a virus and it wiped out most of the human race, they probably could have a pop at it. So they could be all sitting there thinking, right, we're going to act all cute, eat bananas and stuff like that. Hold back a little bit. When the time comes, that's it. They could do it.
Well, they'd probably move into our environment once most of us had died off. So they'd go into towns and the cities and they'd start to find things that we created, like tools, maybe. And then they'd kind of start using them or find a use for them and then develop their own way of doing things. And then before you know it, Planet of the Apes.
Exactly. It could happen. It might not even be that bad a thing, because I'll probably be like Ricardo Montalban in the third one. He was friends with them, wasn't he? And he's helping them along. My friend, I could be like him. I'm an ally of the apes, I think they're probably, they might be better on the earth than humans, actually.
Probably. I mean, one weird thing that's come off the back of this whole pandemic thing is I've noticed today, because we live quite near to Gatwick Airport, and you live really near to Heathrow, don't you?
Yeah.
How strange is it with no planes flying around?
Silent, isn't it? It's absolutely silent.
It's really odd. When I drive the boys to school in the morning, there's always the plane circling Gatwick ready to land, and there's just nothing. There's no one really driving around. I drove into town the other day just to pick up some supplies. The car parks were dead. So if anything's going to benefit from it, the environment is.
It must do, yeah. Because the other night, I was sitting in. Usually, where I live, there's a lot of cars at night. There's a lot of police cars going off and stuff like that, and planes flying about. And you get used to it. It becomes a background noise. Like how you can blank out, like when you're in a cafe talking to somebody, and you can blank out the background sound and hear what your friend is saying. Humans have an ability to do that. You kind of get used to this sound in the background of this sort of like traffic and noise and stuff like that. But the other night, it's just a eerie silence, and the only time I've ever had that before was when I went to Cornwall, and it was actually in the middle of nowhere. I was staying right by the coast. It walked out at night there, and again that was that eerie silence. You could hear just like crickets or animals and that sort of stuff. So we could hear. Very strange, and that's probably would have been like 400 or 500 years ago. That's what it would have been like, wouldn't it, at night? But it's that almost going back to how it was.
But Mother Nature's loving it in a strange twist as well. There's been so much emphasis on the environment over the last sort of 6 months, with Greta giving it the large one, but it almost seems like if COVID-19 is a natural disaster as opposed to one that we've created that we just discussed earlier, is it Mother Nature just saying, well, actually maybe the global energy of everyone recognizing the environment has awoken Mother Nature, and she said, right, I am here, and you know what, I've got something here that's going to wipe a few of you out and stop things happening for a few months, just so I can get my shit together. Yeah, get back on track. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Greta invented it. She's got the old the cure for it and everything. Who knows? It's a strange situation. I mean, it is very odd when you think about how it's happened here. It just seems to come out of nowhere. Silenced the world, stopped society pretty much, hasn't it? And the planes have gone quiet. It's a very strange thing. It is. Very odd. I mean, the whole thing it sickens me a little bit, the whole over PC thing that you get in the news. I was listening to a pandemic expert on the radio talking about how potentially the virus was transferred from bats and then to cats and then to humans. But at no point did he ever say how it got from the cat to the human. But everyone knows how it got from the cat to the human. But,
exactly.
He's got the whole, the bat was in the cage next to the cats. The bat bit the cat. The cat doesn't have a great immune system when it comes to this particular virus. All the cats get it. Somehow all of these cats then give it to the humans. Why doesn't he just turn around and say the Chinese love eating cats? And that's how they got it, because it's not a
pulse,
or anything with a pulse. Yeah, why don't they just say the Chinese ate the cats and then they got the virus from that? But they don't say that. They just say, it got from the cat to the human.
Yeah, it's strange because they're being very PC. It's like when Donald Trump called it Chinese flu. I mean, we used to call it Spanish flu years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, someone goes, you can't call it that, and he goes, I can. It's from China.
This isn't say the Kung flu or the Hong Kong flu or something like that. That would have been worse, wouldn't it? but I always thought that this thing is to do with the bats. I mean, the Chinese do eat anything, really, don't they? I mean, I know Morrissey made a very controversial comment about them because he's very animal rights, but they do eat. I mean, I saw a video of the Wuhan market there, and
the wet market.
They
it's disgusting.
Yeah, they were cooking dogs and Alsatians and bats and snakes, anything that lived. They'd eat it, they'd eat it. But it could be a big conspiracy. Imagine if it's vegans that have done this to try to stop eating meat. They might have, there's always big fuss about veganism lately, everyone turning vegan, isn't there? What if they planted it in the market and said, look, if you eat animals, this is what happens? It could be them.
Well, true, a lot of people have turned around and said, just what happens when you eat things that aren't meant to be eaten? But then vegans would argue that, well, no living creature is meant to be eaten. So why wouldn't they have planted it in something like a cow instead that's going to infect a hell of a lot more people more quickly? Because everyone, virtually, who's not vegan or vegetarian eats beef. Yeah,
well, it could be next, you never know. And if, that's the thing. I mean, all these things kind of like swine flu and mad cow disease. I mean, I don't eat meat myself, so I feel a little bit smug that, it's not going to affect me. I don't worry about it. But this is a bit strange. This bats, it's transferred to humans, and it's very odd. But in China, people are putting their pets outside and leaving them in the street, aren't they? Discarding them, saying they can catch things with animals, even their own pets. I don't know what do they keep as pets in China? Because, I mean, obviously cats and dogs, we see them as lovable creatures. They see them as dinner. Do they keep cows and sheep and things like that, and pigs?
Yeah, what do they keep as pets?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's strange.
People?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe those are the things that are considered to be okay to eat here, like chickens and sheep and goats and whatever, and cows. Maybe they keep them as pets. And cats and dogs are, because I mean, we see it weird as eating a cat. Do you know what I mean? And a dog, but they probably see eating beef as weird.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? They might see that strange, But yeah, it's odd how it just suddenly came out, because there's also the theory about it being to do with aliens as well, isn't there? People saying that seeing strange lights in the sky of the last
I've not heard this one. I mean, we started talking about this yesterday.
Well, there's a few people. I mean, I've got a few people, as mentioned on my Facebook, that are quite bonkers. Do you know what I mean? They're very new age. But they believe everything, and there's all sorts of wild conspiracy theories. And this chat's saying that loads of people are posting these videos or commenting, they've seen these lights in the sky appearing, and then they all join together, like a line joins together with them, and then it vanishes. They've seen a lot of that. And he said at the same time this virus appeared, and he thinks that aliens have come along, they've looked at this planet and thought, that'd be a nice place to live. We've got to get rid of these arseholes first, drop a disease down there, wipe them all out like we did the dinosaurs, and then we'll move in. And that's what they're trying to do.
Or it could be clearing the way for them to arrive. Because if you think about it, there's no airplanes in the sky hardly at the moment. Obviously, there's still military aircraft flying around, but it's putting everyone in the houses. It's making sure the air is empty. It's almost like, on the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when they're clearing everyone away from Devil's Mountain, saying that there's a virus. And do you remember, all the cows are dying. And they clear everybody out of the area for the aliens to arrive so they can do that weird exchange.
It's that kind of thing. I mean, I kind of think if it's aliens invading us, I hope they land in China first, because they just put them in a pot, cook them and eat them, and that's end of problem.
What, the aliens will put the Chinese in the pot and eat them, or the Chinese will put the aliens in the pot?
The aliens will land and say, we come in peace. The Chinese think, this is an unusual thing. Whack it in the wok. Put him in a wok. Whack
it in the wok.
Whack noodles with him. A bit of soy sauce, lovely. Basically, E.T.'s head been on cooked in a wok. They would do. They would probably,
crispy chili grey.
Exactly. Yeah. If they're going to eat bats, they'll give.
That sounds like a name of a rapper. Crispy chili grey.
Crispy chili grey. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone who's not listened to the show before will probably get the gist that Freddie and I don't promote the whole political correctness thing. We are children of the 70s, so
yeah. Children of evolution, as Mark Bolan would say.
So we kind of grew up in the day of, you could get away with anything, couldn't you?
Think of yourself. Do you know what I mean? Just being normal.
Yeah.
But it would do. I mean, the thing is, if they're going to eat bats, if an alien landed, it would cost them. I think, what do they taste like? I mean, we saw an alien. We think, I wonder what the technology they've got on their planet. I wonder what their planet is like. I wonder what their culture is like. And I'm sure that some people will try and think, I wonder what it tastes like.
Yeah. I wonder if the Chinese vaccine they're developing contains ground rhino horn.
Yeah, it probably would.
They seem to use it in everything else. So
an aphrodisiac vaccine or something like that. Yeah, snakes, scales or whatever. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's interesting because these vaccines that are coming out, Israel are supposed to be developing one, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these people, these Corbynites, they should stick to their principles and say we're going to boycott that vaccine and wait for the Palestinian one.
They probably would. Yeah. The left is the anti-Semite sort of contingent would probably turn around and say, we're not going to use that until as you quite rightly said, the Palestinians come out with something we can use.
They have a long wait, I think.
Yeah, but there's another thing. I mean, there's also a rumour going around that this vaccine that they're going to develop is going to be the thing that actually kills people, not the coronavirus itself.
Really?
Yeah, so as a way of almost like the Illuminati being able to reduce the amount of the global population, what they're going to do is they've released obviously this flu virus, which is making sure everybody goes inside and self-isolates, and they're going to develop this vaccine which they then give to people, but that is the thing that's going to kill people off, not the actual virus itself. The virus is just a means for them to globally distribute this, essentially a poison which is going to reduce the Earth's population by 50%.
Blimey. Or they could be putting chips in us, giving us a vaccine and putting a little chip inside us, do you know what I mean, to follow us and track us everywhere and control us. That's the other thing they could be doing. It does seem there's something odd going on with this whole thing, doesn't it? Because there's also the thing saying about this 5G networks. There's a big fuss, wasn't there, about a lot of new age people were going about, it's going to fry your brains and kill people and stuff like that, 5G, let's get a petition and ban it. But apparently it first came out in Wuhan. You know, that's where they started testing out 5G, apparently. A lot of websites are debunking this on the internet. But I mean, when people debunk things a bit too passionately, you think maybe there's something in it. You know, there's loads of people, this is not true, you know. But they're saying that if you look at the places where they've got 5G, that's where the actual coronavirus is. Like Africa, there's nothing. You don't hear any coronavirus deaths in Africa or Pakistan or India, places like that. Places that probably will get it after us. You know, they're not. But the countries like America, you know, China, the UK, Europe, that would have 5G, they're the ones where people are dropping down from this.
Yeah. It could be. I mean, I think we need to point out as well to the listeners that we're recording this on Friday, the 20th of March. So if you're listening what would be now in the future, you kind of got a point of reference to the stories we're talking about, because it could be in a month's time there's going to be a whole new wave of conspiracy theories coming out. But let's be brutally honest here, all these conspiracy theories are not going to make anybody feel better about the whole situation. So, you know, apologies if what Freddie and I are talking about does seem like, you know, are the harbingers of doom. However, that's the whole point of conspiracy theories. They're not there to make you feel better.
No, definitely not. They're there to worry you even more, I think. I mean, we've covered quite a few here. Which one would you say, if you had to pick one and say, this is the one I'm going to stick with, which I think is behind it, if you had to pick one of these, which one would you choose?
If I was to go with one right now, as of today's date, I would go with the Russian story about us engineering the whole thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm a devout patriot. However, do I think we'd be capable of doing something like that in the current global environment, considering what's happened over the last sort of 5 years? Probably. I'd hate to say it, but I think all governments do operate on a slightly
sinister level.
A sinister level, yeah. There's a lot of things that go off in the background that we're not privy to. Let's face it, the Russians know a hell of a lot about us. You know, it's like James Bond territory. We've got spies everywhere. They've got spies everywhere. If they knew what was being developed at the Pirbright Institute in Woking, and they knew it was a disease which is very similar to Covid-19, could it be possible? I don't know. We'll find out in 12 weeks' time. 12 weeks from today is the 12th of June. So if by the 12th of June the UK have miraculously created a vaccine that's going to cure everyone, or if not cure everyone, at least detect it and make the world a lot safer, then could this story have some validity? I don't know.
Oh, I think it's possible. I mean, there are stories in the past that have been covered up, like quite extreme ones, because you know, a lot of underhand stuff does go on. I remember seeing a program. It's got Channel 4, where it's like secret things that have been covered up. And there was a situation, I can't remember where it was now. It's up north somewhere, where there's a nuclear power plant. I think it's in the 50s, and there was an accident there where one of the plutonium bars got stuck in the chimney, and they told all the staff who worked there to go home, lock your doors. But they didn't tell the people who didn't work there. So basically, loads of people got cancer and died in this village. You know, apart from the people that worked at this nuclear plant, they were told not to tell anybody that science secrets thing. They don't tell anybody about it, and the government covered it over. Basically, just didn't tell anybody about it. People suddenly got cancer. So that is an underhand thing. To cover something like that up is a bit dodgy. You know what I mean? So they are capable. I mean, I know that's probably 40, 50 years ago, but they were capable of doing it then. I'd say that they are capable of doing that. Definitely. I think you could be onto something there.
Yeah. It is a strange one.
So it does seem, yeah, there's something in it. I mean, I'd want to believe that the chimps and apes taken over. That's what I'd like to believe. You know what I mean? But I might go on Monkey Ball, just see what's going on there. Just have a look over the fence, see if they're building weapons or something. Stockpiling, rocket launchers or something like that. If they
riding horses.
Riding horses, yeah. Get your hands off me, you dirty damn it. All that kind of thing. It could be possible. But yeah, I think there's something. I think that they could come out with Britain looking victorious as the heroes with it all. And China, they're quite a big, power, and they're obviously, because it's a communist nation, they're quite secretive, and people have always been a bit scared of them. Even Nostradamus sort of said that, he predicted that there would be something coming from them, wouldn't there, at some point, that there'd be some trouble. So it may be a case of putting the world in order and saying, look, we're still the top dogs here. You get all these diseases going on. We're the ones who stop them. So we're the ones, you better be nice to us. So it could be that kind of thing.
Yeah, it just makes you realise how small the world is when something like this happens. Getting back to reality, because with conspiracy theories, you never know what reality really is. But it is being a father of 3 boys, it is a scary time. I was watching TED Talks last year, and there was a lecture on 10 ways that civilization would end, and it went through all the usual ones like asteroids and floods and all that, and then it went to the number one thing, and the number one thing was a pandemic. And here we are right now in the middle of that, which a year ago I just would never have realised, or in my wildest dreams thought we'd be sitting here talking about it right now.
It is very scary. I mean, in the 80s there was a lot of this post-apocalyptic fiction and films and stuff, but it tended to be more to do with a nuclear war.
Yeah, exactly. After that, yeah, when the wind blows.
Yeah, and Mad Max, of course, and Planet of the Apes and that kind of thing. There's all about nuclear war and surviving after that. But since the last sort of 15 years, it's all been about pandemics, isn't it? Nuclear war is no longer something that we're scared of. It's not mentioned at all. In the 80s, things like Fred's, we were crapping ourselves watching that. And the 2 Tribes, Frankie Goes to Hollywood and all this. And after that, it's kind of like, okay, nuclear war, forget about it. It's not going to happen. This is going to happen. Pandemic and zombies. And that's what we've been hammered in our minds for the last sort of 10, 15 years, I think.
Yeah, to make it a little bit more interesting for my kids, as I said, I've told them that there's no proof yet that the dead from the coronavirus don't come back as zombies. So they're like... they're getting really excited to the fact that there might be a zombie apocalypse on the way, but we've got it all planned out. We planned it actually at the end of season 8 of The Walking Dead, so we've had it ready to roll for the last year or two basically. But it's also one of those times as well where you realise how vulnerable you are when it comes to finances and just everything around you, and how much you rely on everybody else. And obviously, we work in the entertainment industry, and as a result of the virus, nearly everybody I know has no work. If you're a magician or you're a performer, there's no one booking you for parties or shows. And as a prop designer, there's no one buying the props because they're thinking, well, there's nobody to perform them because they've got no audiences. So everything has slowed down to a point where I'm looking at my finances and I'm thinking, right, how long can I survive with what I've got before I have to get really creative in terms of where my next couple of quid is going to come from?
It's worry, isn't it? But ironically, as a tarot reader, it's busier because people are worried and they want readings, So, in that respect, that kind of thing seems to be more in demand.
Business is booming for you.
Business is booming for me. Yeah. Lovely, jubbly. I better get some bog rolls and flog them as well. But yeah, it's that, more people want readings and things like that. Whereas entertainment, it's very strange because I've got, I like going to gigs like you do, and there's a lot of gigs coming up I've booked tickets for, and I'm thinking, are they going to happen? The last one I went to was Morrissey, and then the day, it was there on the 14th. And that day, all day, I was checking the website to see where it's going to go ahead or not, because all his other things have been cancelled. But he still went ahead with it. There were some people that didn't turn up because of that. They were posting on this group saying, no, I'm not going to go, it's too much of a risk and all this kind of stuff. But he came on and took the mickey out of it, really. But since then, his gigs in New York have been cancelled. And, Albert Hall have postponed all concerts until the 28th of April. Which is handy because I'm going to the concert on the 1st of June there, so I'm hoping it starts up before then. But everything's cancelled. Glastonbury's cancelled. Everything like that. It's
Doomsday is cancelled. So we have Doomsday this year. For anyone who's not listened to the show before, I host an event which is like a bizarre magic storytelling event, which has been running for 11 years. And we had to change the date from May because of the VE Day bank holiday that was introduced. So I had to move it to April. And of course now it's cancelled. But here's a question for you, Freddie. Obviously, you've got a boost in business regarding tarot readings, and everyone at the moment is pretty much in the same boat. So are you seeing a similarity in all of the readings? Are the readings similar in any respect?
They are in many ways. I mean, obviously, with readings, a lot of things that concern people's work and relationships and that kind of stuff, But there's also people worried about, is this going to end? Is my job going to be all right? Job security seems to be the most worrying thing at the moment that people are talking about readings. Am my job going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? Money-wise, is how things going to pan out for me? Will I go on my holiday? Will this be okay? It's that kind of stuff they're asking about, really.
What do the cards say? What have the cards been saying in terms of job security and money and how long the virus will possibly last?
I mean, it's variable from person to person, but generally it's quite positive. It does indicate from the card readings that it's not going to last that long, that things are going to they're going to shut down a bit and then start opening up bit by bit, and things are going to be generally okay.
12 weeks.
Yeah. 12 weeks time. When Boris says, look what I got, this tablet.
What's this I found here? I'm just under my chair.
He might just say, get friends with Buddy, listen to Chaz and Dave and you'll be all right. You might think, he might have listened to my advice, listened on my calls and thought, hang on, he's got something there with this cancer thing. We'll try it out with coronavirus. We'll try a bit of that out.
There's news in India. In India, supposedly 2 people got it quite severely and they treated them with HIV drugs.
That's right.
And it cured them.
It is like a worldwide AIDS, isn't it, really? Because in the 80s, there's a big fuss about AIDS, but people generally thought it's gay people who got it or drug addicts, and other people thought, well, it don't affect me, do you know what I mean? But this could affect, it's that kind of thing that affects everybody, you know what I mean? Because at the time with that, there was no cure for it, it's like Freddie Mercury, just that's it. Now people who have that survive, they have a good life, they can continue and they're all right. They look a bit waxy, the people that have got it, don't they, their skin? But it does seem to be all right, cured that. I dealt with it, So it's that sort of thing. It's that kind of, there's a disease out there which can kill me and there's no cure for it. That's the scary thing about it. If it was something that, okay, if you collapsed and had breathing difficulties and they could cure it or give you an injection or whatever and it's okay, fine. But that's the scary thing about it. The fact there's no actual cure. It's down to your immune system, isn't it? Yeah.
It's also the strange thing as well of this incubation period of 7 days where people just generally don't know if they've got it or not, and they're carrying on their life as normal. My wife still works in London. She's a key worker, so she has to go to work every day in London. There's no getting round the fact. And, while she's travelling in and out of London, it makes you think, well, what's the point in me and the kids isolating ourselves, from everyone else? Because we're at much risk of getting it at home now as we are of contracting it anywhere. So I mean, you could argue that she'll bring it home, we'll get it and we'll go out and give it to other people, but it's just one of those odd things that as soon as you can identify if someone's got it, if you can just do a swab or fire a laser at the head or something and it tells you if you've got it or not, then great. Some people may have already had it.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They think that last year or like November, December, that people had like a bit of a flu or a bug and beat it, and they're now immune to it. And a lot of people, and I did have a lot of bugs and things around that time, because I think China told us, they held back on it. They told us about it a bit later than they should have done.
I think September they started getting it, didn't they, last year?
Yeah.
I think they first of all they said it was November, but there have been a few interviews with people who live in China, and they've said no, actually they started getting the first cases around September last year, which means anyone who's travelling backwards and forwards, well, anywhere really. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of people ill over Christmas.
Yeah, there was a lot
people
of people
had colds and sore throats, and I lost my voice, and I remember. I remember the actual point where I got ill at Christmas because I was watching Wonder Woman on the sofa, and I came over all funny.
As you do.
As you do. No, but I did. I kind of got the that flu shiver where you don't like your skin being touched, and I just went really cold. It didn't matter how hot I was or how many blankets I wrapped myself in. I was freezing cold, and it lasted about 24 hours, and then I got a bit of a cold after that, and then I lost my voice, which was quite good because that meant I didn't really have to talk to the mother-in-law for a few days. It took me probably 3 weeks to get over it. I remember going for a run on New Year's Day, and I still wasn't feeling fantastic then, and I thought to myself, I really shouldn't have gone out for that run, but you do these things on New Year's Day, try and get the year off to a good start. But it took me a while to get over it, and I was thinking to myself, did I pick it up in London when I went on my my Christmas piss up with my friends? Have I already had it? I don't know. It's just
It's very possible, and they can't even test you for it. It's a strange thing. It's very odd because, like Claire, I've been out and about a little bit, and obviously I've got this compromised immune system because of the cancer, the blood cancer.
You basically don't have an immune system, do you?
I've got one, but it doesn't work as well. Do you know what I mean? It's basically what the leukemia, it's bad white blood cells, but and the tablets kill off the bad ones, but kill some of the good ones as well. So it keeps the cancer down, but it also makes your immune system, like if you get a cold or something. If I cut myself, most people in a sort of few days they get a scab, it'll go. With me, it could take 2 or 3 weeks. Because the immune system is not strong. So they basically warn me if I get something like pneumonia or a chest infection, I could end up in hospital on a drip or die, When I talk about this coronavirus, I spoke to the specialist and they sort of said, basically, if you get it, you've had it, mate. That's basically what they were saying in a roundabout way. But the ironic thing is, my missus had sort of colds and bugs and flus over the last few years since I've been diagnosed with it, and I've not picked them up. So I might have this, I might not be as weak immune system-wise as it seems, But apparently, it compromises it. So it doesn't work very well. But I've been all right.
Maybe you've got a 1970s style constitution. It kind of is bulletproof. You can
sort of cigarettes and stuff like that, and
cigarettes and
beer
alcohol.
and all that. Cigarettes and beer, living out. There's people like that tend to be tougher. You know what I mean? Like in those eras, because they drank and smoked and did whatever. And maybe your body gets used to stuff and becomes tougher because of it. I think if you live a macrobiotic diet and don't drink, don't smoke, goody two shoes, etc., it might weaken your immune system. If you're putting shit in your body, it might make your body more stronger in fighting that.
What you're saying is your body has grown up fighting.
It has, because I would say you think if someone says you've got blood cancer, they said give up smoking. They said no. They said it's not harmed you at all. Your lungs are fine. Your heart's fine. It's in your blood. It's nothing to do with smoking. It can't spread. It'd be more stressful for you to give it up. Your body will change when you give things up, and it's very stressful. You've got enough to deal with. Carry on, light up, boy. So that's good news. Every cloud, etc. But it is a very strange situation. I mean, it's kind of worrying this virus because you don't know how transmittable it really is. I mean, I don't know personally anybody that's got it or has been tested for it. And people on Facebook have been saying, people with 5,000 friends saying, anybody of my friends got no one anyone's got it, and they'll say no. So it doesn't appear anyone knows anyone's got it. I mean, the flu probably kills more people than this, the actual normal flu. Yeah,
I mean, there's been a few reports on the local Facebook page that people have spotted the odd sweaty person knocking about, but there's always odd sweaty people knocking about.
There is. It's now there's odd sweaty people coughing all the time, so you don't know,
It's that time of year. It's the time of year as well where people develop springtime colds. There's a change of the seasons coming in. We're going through winter. The temperature's changing. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's warm. So this constant fluctuation of the weather does promote colds and sniffles in people. And I think that's where the problem lies. People are waking up with a runny nose and a bit of a cough. And they're like, oh my God, and they're going into isolation. But I think what they've stated as being the symptoms are very specific, aren't they? They are constant, dry, non-productive cough and a fever. If you have those, then great. But if you haven't got those, then you've probably just got a cold and just carry on.
I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I remember reading, I think Linda Lasardi, the patient, her husband, that Sam, what he's called, that actor, they've got it. And she's sort of saying that basically you feel really, really hot. When someone touches your back, it's like burning. Do you know what I mean? You feel like it's a real fever. And of course, with myself, I'm reading all these, I haven't got it. I've had a bit of a cough, nothing major. But the stuff it's saying is like, you vomit a lot, you feel lethargic. I thought, well, I feel like that anyway because I've got cancer. I'm on chemo tablets. I can't tell no different. I do feel shit most of the time. So you can't tell whether it's, or it's very unspecific, isn't it? It's just basically, the symptoms are a bit like when you go on one of those web doctor things and no matter what you type in, I must have cancer, or I've got something really badly wrong with me, and you probably haven't. So they're very vague. It's sort of like most people would have a bit of a cough around this time of year. A lot of people get a fever, or you could have the heating on and be sweaty and think, buddy, I've got this corona. It makes people paranoid. I think it does make people scared.
I mean, what are you going to do to pass the time over the next 12 weeks? I'll say 12 weeks because I'm pretty sure now that that fear is correct. What have you got lined up for the next 12 weeks? How are you going to pass the time?
Well, I tend to read a lot of books. I sometimes read if it's a good book. I read about 5 to read. Yeah, I like reading the old books. Get through them all. Yeah, Razzle or Penthouse, all those books. Get through them, few a day. But yeah, I like reading, and also I've been like my radio show. I'll do 2 radio shows. One of them I do at home, and I send it up to Scarborough, which is up in Yorkshire, and they broadcast it. It's pre-recorded. But one I do live, which is down the road from me. I drive to the studio and we do it live in the studio, just me and Holly. But they sort of kind of said because it's coronavirus and because I'm also like a high risk person. person that it's best I don't do it live in the studio in case somebody brings it in and leaves on the microphones or whatever. So I'm going to be recording those from home. So they're not going to be live, but I'm going to pre-record those. So yeah, that, probably sleeping, listen to music. I did record an album last year, which when I was ill, I thought I'll do something when I feel better. The days I feel good. And I recorded an album with theremin music, like space sort of music, like Moog synthesizers and theremin. So I might finally get around to releasing that. Do something about that, actually. But
I was listening to some Throbbing Gristle this morning, because Genesis Peorage died a few days ago, and it did strike me that their song about, who's the guy in the Rolling Stones again?
Oh, Brian Jones, Godstar.
Brian Jones, Godstar, yeah. It does sound very much like a Freddie Valentine tune.
It does. I mean, I met him actually around the time that came out, and he's a strange guy, but a nice bloke, you know. And I say that we did get on. You know, I met him a couple of times. The first time I met him, he did this thing, an evening in Hackney Empire. And it's called Temple Records Evening, and he had this label called Temple Records, and he brought some very strange music on there. One was an album by Nigel Bourne and Seldie Bate, who were two witches, and the album was called Music for a Pagan Easter, which has never been reissued on CD. But it's very hard to get hold of now, you know. But it's very folky, kind of sort of almost psychedelic, but it's very much paganism. The songs are all about Kabbalah and witchcraft and that kind of stuff. And all his acts played, and he was on it at the end, you know, Psychic TV. And he was very friendly. We met him at the bar. We were chatting with him, and he's talking about Brian Jones and his song and stuff like that. But he had these really mad videos on stage, like people being tortured and tied to chairs. And we thought, must be set up. But he got done. His house got raided, didn't he? And he went to America. But he's a very strange guy, you know. And but yeah, I met him a few times. Me and mate went around his house with him for a party. He didn't do anything dodgy. He was just fine to us. He's a bit odd bloke, very starey eyes. But he was, I found him all right. But very peculiar character. I mean, obviously, when it came out, he died. He's obviously the music he made with Throbbing Gristle was the first industrial music, really, wasn't it? You know, before Nine Inch Nails, a lot of people were inspired by him. But a lot of people were slagging him off. Or the lefties were saying, "Oh no, can't like him. He's cancelled, even though he's died." Because apparently, a member of Throbbing Gristle, you know, Cozy Fanny Tutti, the girl that was in it, she wrote a book about being in Throbbing Gristle, and about she had a relationship with him and what he was like. And so he was controlling, abusive. He threw a breeze block out of her head out of a window, and he was quite aggressive and manipulative. You know, so it's very negative stuff she put in there. He denied it all. He said, she'd do anything to sell a book. So there's a bit of a question mark over him. So, but he's a one-off person, isn't he? He's a bit of an Aleister Crowley of music, really, isn't he? I'd say
he is. There's a very, how to describe him, it's just unique. There's no other way to describe Genesis Peorage. There's never going to be anyone else ever like him again.
Did you ever see him live at all?
No, I never got the opportunity.
I saw him quite a few times. One of the weirdest things that I saw when I saw him live was he was playing at Reading Festival, and there wasn't barriers as much in those days in the 80s. Now there's like a fence and the security, but you could touch the stage. And this bloke was screaming at the front and shouting something at him. He was getting a bit overexcited, and Genesis pulled him up on stage and literally like kissed his face, but like he's chewing his face off. Just held the bloke's head in his hands like he's gnawing his face, and they just pushed him into the crowd and carried on singing. It was very intense. We thought, what's he doing? Do you know what I mean? It was very intense. This bloke standing looking dazed, didn't know what happened. The performances were very intense. You know, he's a very charismatic performer, very mesmerising. Had a very manic stare in his eyes, a very penetrating stare, I'll describe it as. But the visuals they used to have when you see him in like a venue, you know, they'd have his film showing, and it's quite overpowering, I suppose. The music, his personality, and also the films they showed, very strange films, because he had a cult around him called the Temple of Psychic Youth. They had all these weird symbols to put on their records and stuff like that. But I remember in the 80s he brought out an album every month, I think it was, and there were live albums and sometimes demos or stuff like that on his own label, and you had to subscribe to it. You had to sort of kind of go to the record shop and put in an order for it. You couldn't just buy random albums, and each one come with like a little card with it, and it made up a picture of a skull. So when you collect all these pictures together, little cards, he made a skull with that symbol on his forehead, and you sent these cards off to him, and he sent you an album which you're going to get if you'd collected them all. So I remember that time I had that album. Yeah, there's always different live ones.
Like collecting Bazooka Joe things.
Yeah, a bit darker version of that. Yeah, but some of the stuff, the lyrics, and it's out there. You know, it's proper. Like Hamburger Lady, I think is one of the greatest, or probably the most scariest piece of music of all time.
Yeah, there was a time when we were thinking about trying to contact Genesis Peorage and actually interview him on the Mystic Menagerie, wasn't there, about 5 years ago?
That's right, because he moved to New York. He seemed to be hard to get in touch with. I did try through his Facebook page and his management email address, but didn't get any reply. So it would have been interesting to speak to him. I mean, when I spoke to him face to face, he was a nice person. Do you know what I mean? Interesting person. He was friendly towards me, so I think he would have been great on the show. It's a shame that he didn't respond, but maybe he was ill then. You know, who knows? Because he's had leukemia, and that's what killed him off. So, unfortunately, but yeah, it would have been interesting to have him on the show. But yeah, a real legend he is. Real legend, greatly missed.
Yeah. It's been a strange few months. So do you think this time next month we'll still be in a position to knock out another episode of the Mystic Menagerie?
I reckon we will be. But what if everyone dies except for me and you? We'd still record it, but there'd be no one listen to it. Unless aliens...
Just beam it out into space.
Space. Unless aliens are taking over and they think, we'll spare these two, we like their podcast, you know what I mean? We'll keep them, they can entertain us. They could be our little puppets to record this once a month for us. You don't know, yeah. I reckon we will be. Yeah,
because the hour is nearly upon us, so that's flown by. If you've not listened to us before, as I say, there are another 50 plus hours of the Mystic Menagerie on iTunes, and we cover every single topic you can possibly imagine, from fairies to the Loch Ness Monster to most paranormal subjects, and we also interview quite a few famous people, don't we, Freddie?
Yeah, we've got some great people. We've got, Matt Fraser, American Horror Story on there. We've got Right Said Fred and
Reece Shearsmith.
Reece Shearsmith, of course. Yeah, brilliant interview with him. So yeah, if you're isolating and you're home and you want to find something to do, there's 50 hours that keep you through this isolation of spooky and entertaining podcast there.
That's it. And also, if you've made it through the full hour of the show and you're still with us, there's another free gift for you as well, and that is if you head over to my website, which is www.lebanonscircle.co.uk. So that's Lebanon as the place and circle as the shape.co.uk. You can also download all 16 copies of the Mystic Menagerie magazine, which came out before we did the podcast. So the 16 copies of the magazine, you can just download them as one complete pack, and that's free as well. Anything to help you get through, this period of isolation. So you've got the podcast, you've got the magazines, and hopefully we'll be back with you again this time next month for another show.
Yeah, we are there for you. That's what we thought. We'd come out of the wilderness back again to make sure everybody's all right. Guide them through it.
We're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, but we're still doing the same thing.
Yep, definitely. And there's plenty more we can cover. We cover so much, but there's so many subjects that we could touch upon. But this was a big thing, and we had to do something about it. Didn't we? We couldn't just let it go by without commenting on it or talking about the theories behind it, all the stuff. We had to sort of.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we talk to each other quite regularly anyway for about an hour. So we just thought, well, why don't we just record those conversations and release it as a show? Because essentially that's what the Mystic Menagerie was, but for 4 hours.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's basically me and you having a chat like we normally do, but recording it, really. It's basically what's going on.
We try and keep the language as clean as possible, because our normal conversations with each other, they're
more colourful.
They are very colourful and opinionated.
Yes, definitely. the right opinions as well.
They're our opinions, so they're right.
They're right.
Yeah, but we'll try and keep that out of these shows from now on. So we're going to try and keep them politics free, although we've had a little bit of politics in this show. We'll try and keep it within the guidelines that most people expect nowadays, but don't be a little bit offended if we do sometimes overstep the mark. By all means, write us an email and give us a telling off, because we like that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, and if we do stay out the mark, we're just taking the mickey. We're not seriously making any statements. It's all fun.
So there we go. That's all from us for this episode of the Mystic Menagerie podcast. Freddie and I would like to say to you all, stay safe, stay well.
Keep positive, and we will be back. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we shall see you very, very soon.
Take care. Bye.